Hello everyone and welcome to the What's in Bloom video for August. The days are getting shorter and so there's not enough light anymore after work hours for me to be able to film this properly without artificial lighting. So from now on we're going to have to make do with artificial indoor lighting, which changes the colors up a little bit, but from what I can see on the screen, not quite as badly as you might expect. So here in front of you, you can see everything that's been in bloom this month. Well, not quite everything. There was one more orchid, the Porcatavola Golden Peacock, which was in bloom last month. But I already showed in the last What's in Bloom video and it just dropped all its blooms 2 days ago. So it's not going to be in this video anymore. But I do have quite enough to talk about, including 3 new ones. So I guess let's get started with that. First up is the Phylum Berlina, who I won't spend too much time on because I did handle her in my last What's in Bloom video as well, since she's been in bloom for a little while already. In fact, this is her 3rd flower. She's one of those orchids which flower consecutively, which means that it makes buds, as you can see down here, and then opens them sort of one at a time. So it doesn't give this one big cascade of flowers, but instead there's always just something that's open and pleasing to the eyes and giving a wonderful scent for quite a while, usually a few months. And sometimes you get multiple in bloom at the same time. When I came home from my trip, there were actually 2 flowers that were open, but the 2nd flower dropped about 4 days ago. So right now it's just a single flower, but we have another one being made right over there. I think it might be the last flower of the season that's being made right now, because I don't see much being made in the tip of the flower spike anymore. But even if this is the last flower, she's been in bloom for at least, I'm going to say 3 months. So that's a pretty decent time period. And the smell has been amazing. Last time it was in bloom, it had this kind of green tea smell, and I never quite understood what people meant with fruity when they usually describe the Berlina. But this time around, she actually does have a kind of a fruity scent to her. The scent is much more rounded out that way, and it's actually incredibly pleasant. So anyone who likes fragrant flowers, the Berlina is the Phalaenopsis for you. The Phalaenopsis samara, which is a cross between the Berlina and the Violaalba, has also been in bloom since about 2.5 months. So I also handled it in my previous What's in Bloom for August. So if you want to see more of it, you can always check out that video, for which I will leave a link down in the description below. But for now, let's just look at this beautiful flower. It is, I think, the 2nd flower which it has made. And it is creating a 3rd one right over here. And after that, it's still not done because, look, a 3rd bud being made, or the 4th then, maybe. So this one should be in bloom for even longer than the Berlina, which suits me just fine because I like this flower. I think I might like it more than the Berlina, the splash of purple, which it really is purple. The screen makes it look very hot pink, but in reality it's much more purple. I really, really like it. And the scent is also amazing. It is sort of fruity like the Berlina, but at the same time, it has that hint of cinnamon that comes through from its Violaalba heritage, and it is intoxicating. I really like this flower. So again, if you are into fragrant orchids and you are thinking of trying out the Phalaenopsis samara is definitely one of my recommendations. And now on to the more exciting stuff, new stuff that's in bloom. And the first one is the Violaalba variation Alba. And this one I have actually had for quite a while. I think I have it a little bit over a year now. But I had never seen it in bloom because when I got it, it was a pretty small orchid. I think it came with this leaf. So these 2 leaves it made after. So just, the leaves aren't very big, especially when compared to my Samara and my Berlina. So it had some growing to do. It was, advertised as a flower-sized orchid. And I guess that technically that was true. But it still had a little bit of growing to do before it could actually flower. And here it is. This is this plant's very first ever flowering. And I must say, for a first flowering, it looks really, really nice. We have a really nice flower shape. It's very symmetrical. It's not very cupped. It's a little bit cupped, but it's pretty flat. And the lip is kind of straight. I think it's slightly diagonal. Slightly maybe, but barely. So much you really have to look for it to find the flaws. And the colors are beautiful. I love that kind of like lemon yellow, because it is more lemon yellow. I think it's a little bit darker on the screen, but it's like lemon yellow. And then you have this white column, white lip, and then you have this kind of this creamy green white that slowly turns into this beautiful soft green. And this is really beautiful in my opinion. This is like that fragile, elegant beauty. I really like it. On top of that, you have the nice, sturdy, waxy substance of the flower, which I tend to like either way. So far, this one is a winner for me. This is doing great in my books. The only thing on which I have my doubts is the fragrance. Now, being a Violacea, at least supposedly a Violacea, it is supposed to smell quite a lot like cinnamon, which is something that I enjoy so much in the Samara. I really had high hopes for the scent on this orchid. I was thinking, yes, here comes that wonderful cinnamon fragrance. But unfortunately, so far, there's not much fragrance to detect actually. I don't know if it has to do with my light levels or if it's just because it's the first flowering and it doesn't have that much energy to produce fragrance with yet, but it is something that's lacking a little bit. If I get really close to the flower, then I feel like maybe I can smell something, but I'm really not sure what it is or how to describe it, or, you know, it's faint. There's not much there. So that is my one point of improvement. For the rest, I think this is beautiful, and the flower size compared to the plant size is also great. It is not making another bud. Let me show you, there we go. It is not making another bud, but that doesn't really surprise me. But I'm happy to have had this one flower just so I can see what this orchid is capable of and what its flowers look like, and I am well pleased. And now here is something you don't see often on my channel, a bulbul phylum. Some of you might know that I have actually had a bulbul phylum for quite a long time, since, you know, near the start of my orchid journey, and I've never got it to flower because it just has been struggling horribly in my care. So I took it as a sign that I'm just not really made for bulbos. They're just not my kind of thing. But then a friend of mine came along and he was kind of tired of his bulbos, so he was looking for someone to donate them to, and I figured, you know what? Let me try it just again. And this was one of them, and it is a monster of a plant. There are so many growths in there, so many leaves, and this is a big pot here. Let me show you. This is a big pot. So, you know, this is a proper mature plant that he gave to me. And yes, you saw that right. We have 1 and 2 more flower spikes coming. Now, the name of this wacky flower is bulbul phylum Jersey. Just show that to you. Bulbul phylum Jersey. And I think it looks stunning. I tend to either really dislike or really like the bulbul phylum flowers because they tend to be either really large and alien looking and showy, like this one, or they tend to be very small and clustered and kind of unobtrusive, or just look really and those I don't like. But like this, the big showy ones, and you see all the patterning and the colors, and this is cool. And one thing that's really cool about orchids as well is you see the lip moving like that. Wait, I just wanna, just the lip. They're hinged. So bulbul phylum have movable lips, which I don't recognize from any other genus in the orchid family. So that's really cool. But now any of you who are somewhat familiar with bulbul phylums might be asking yourself, how does it smell? Because bulbul phylums are notorious for their scent. They can smell nice or just not have a scent, but the general famous characteristics of the bulbul phylums is that they smell like rotten meat or poop or anything very not nice, like rotten bananas. I'm happy to report that in this particular case, it doesn't really smell like much of anything. So I can have it in my room without having to compromise on nose plugs. And that's great. So if anyone's interested in a nice, showy, large bulbul phylum, which does not stink up your room, you have the bulbul phylum Jersey. Now this next orchid is new in my collection. Yes, I went orchid shopping and I still need to upload a video of the unboxing, but I will get to that, I promise. But for now, let's just admire the flowers because there are lots of them. This orchid is kind of difficult to get in frame and to display nicely because it's such a vertical display. But I'll take you in for a close-up and you'll see how beautiful these flowers actually are. Oh, by the way, it's a Cygnocchis gutatulatum. I am so bad at remembering this name. It is Cygnocchis gutulatum. There you have it. It's a species, if I remember correctly. So here you have them, a little bit more of a close-up so I can tell you a little bit more about the flowers. Now the first thing that I love about these flowers and that really attracted me to them are the spots. I do not have a spotted tattletum yet, well, until now, and I thought it really was missing in my collection. So here we have the Morges tattletum with its wonderful spotted flowers. Now one odd thing is the shape of these flowers. They kind of have their petals and sepals kind of curled back, which I haven't seen before, and it's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna say that it's a favorite habit of mine because it does make the flowers kind of smaller and the display less showy than it maybe could be, but the spots kind of make up for it in my opinion, and I really like this kind of white little mitts they have. I'm not sure, honestly, what the function of it is. I don't know enough about this actual plant. I haven't done any research, but it looks neat. So far, I've been a little disappointed with respect to fragrance, because one thing I really know the catasetinae for is, other than their showy flowers, the fragrance. Every single catasetinae that I've owned so far, and I've seen in bloom so far, has had this fantastic fragrance, and it tends to be strong too. Like, you don't really need to stick your nose all the way in there to smell it. Some of them might even drive you out the room, like my Signaci's Wine Delight. But this one, I smell almost nothing. And I don't know if it's because of the shock of changing environments, because I bought it from the orchidarium in bud, and then it flowered in my environment, and maybe it's simply not used to it. So it's not putting that much energy towards fragrance production. This is possible. Maybe it needs more light to produce a fragrance, this one, also possible. But I'm kind of missing it, because that's one of the key things I really appreciate about catasetinae. So hopefully it will start producing some sort of fragrance in the next few days. And if not, I'll just have to hope that next year will be better. But where it fails in fragrance, it exceeds in flower count, because there are 30 different flowers on this one spike. There used to be, in fact, 34 buds, but you might be able to see that the end here has dried up. And this is because the spike was too long when I was transporting it home, and it kind of had to be wedged on the bottom of the box while I was transporting it. And I think they didn't appreciate that and they blasted. So instead of 34 flowers, we have 30 flowers, but that is still a stunning amount. And it looks really cool, this display. So thank you everyone for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. If you disliked it, please give a thumbs down, and perhaps you can let me know what I could do to improve in the comments down below. Of course, any other comments are also welcome in the comment section. And if you'd like to see more of my content in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can always see what I'm up to. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.